We did not know that what we were eating was dog food until after. So it was like dog food, it was like tuna, it was hot sauce, it was a raw egg. Yeah, it was all these different things, and we would have to like eat it like on the ground, and if you threw up, you would still have to eat it.
New York, they had us line up in the basement, and you are being screamed at by like 30 girls, shining a light in your eyes through a blindfold, telling you that you're worthless. They would make you do like calisthenics, tell you you're fat or whatever. So they would dump like rotten food all over us, throwing eggs at you, pouring shit all over you. They're like, put your hands by your side and fall on your face.
These are the real accounts from individuals who have experienced the harsh realities of hazing. It's time to expose the dark truth. Hazing is not just a tradition, it's dangerous, inhumane, and deeply troubling. Imagine a promising young student's life tragically cut short, not by accident or illness, but by a ritual meant to foster brotherhood. The recent hazing incident at Southern University has once again spotlighted the dark side of campus traditions. How did we get here, and why does hazing persist despite its deadly consequences? Hey y'all, welcome to Deep Dives with Sali, where we delve into the most intriguing and complex stories. I want to delve into the tragic hazing incident at Southern University that led to the untimely death of 20-year-old Caleb Wilson. I saw the story all on my social media timelines, and I have since seen the horrific stories people have shared about their experiences with hazing. We will explore the latest developments in this case, trace the history of hazing in academic institutions, and seek to understand the underlying reasons behind this perilous practice. I want to take a moment to send my heartfelt condolences to the family, friends, and loved ones of Caleb Wilson. Losing someone under such tragic circumstances is truly devastating, and no family should ever have to endure this kind of pain. My thoughts and prayers are with them during this incredibly difficult time, and I hope they find strength and justice as they navigate through their loss. So Caleb Wilson, a 20-year-old mechanical engineering student and member of the Human Jukebox marching band, died after being repeatedly punched in the chest during Omega Psi Phi fraternity's pledging process. So allegedly, he was unalived at a warehouse, and the boys from the group decided to change him out of his set clothes after he passed out. I'm not sure if this was some kind of like cover up or they were trying to hide from the police, but this is crazy. And I feel like whoever changed these clothes should be charged and be held accountable just as much as those who physically injured him. Caleb McCrae, a 23-year-old Southern University graduate and fraternity member, surrendered to police and faces charges of manslaughter and criminal hazing. Authorities have issued additional warrants and anticipate more arrests in connection with Wilson's death. So this is all alleged, by the way. So Caleb McCrae wasn't even a current student at Southern University, but he was an alumni. He was someone who graduated last year, December 2024, and who happened to still be a part of the fraternity. So just imagine graduating and moving on with your life and then coming back to do something like this. Like, you literally just like destroyed your life for no reason. Southern University President Dennis Shields ordered the fraternity to cease all activities, and the university has suspended all Greek organization new member activities for the academic year. Disciplinary proceedings are underway for several students involved, as they should, honestly. This is insane. Let's look into the history of hazing in academic institutions. So hazing rituals have long been associated with fostering group cohesion and testing the commitment of new members. So over time, these practices have often involved abusive behaviors leading to physical and psychological harm. An ex-Delta woman named Melissa exposed the behind-the-scenes hazing that goes on in the sorority Delta Sigma Theta. She goes into detail on her sisters who went as far as making her eat dog food. This footage was pulled from the Miss Titus 2 YouTube channel. I don't know what her full name is, but she goes by the name Melissa, and she also appeared on a podcast that I found on TikTok. It was like a snippet from a podcast that was led by a woman named Lala Jenkins.
We had to do this thing called Delta chair, where you would sit on the wall, and you would hold your hands out and you would sit in like a squatting position. And so you would have to do that during the day, and they would make you, recite founders, recite above ground, information, recite the chapter information. That's where they would be slapping your hands down. They would come and sit on you to like push you down. Like, with your legs out, they would come sit down. They would be pouring water on your face.
This is during the day.
Yes, we would have to do Delta Apple, where we would have to pass down an onion to each, and all 38 people would have to bite out of the onion. So even in itself, that's nasty. Like, and so a lot of people would get sick. They called it digging for worms. I don't know if you ever did it, but you had to basically, with your bare hands, keep digging and digging and digging until your nails bled. I didn't share that before. The paddling, and they would just, keep going. And it's like the big sisters would just be practicing on you. This is just practice. And they would relish in whoever had the biggest swing. Some people really got injured because with that paddle, you would have to sit in a squat, position with your hands out. And so your back is like that. And sometimes the paddle would miss their butt, and it would like hit like their back and like really like hurt them. Yep, some people had ruptured, vessels in their butt.
Yeah. The most grieving thing about this is it's the ones that pledge the hardest are the ones that are the loudest to say this is not demonic.
Very much so. Because you could not have told me this was demonic. This was breaking you down to build you up.
So based on watching Melissa's account of the things that she experienced, and also just I spent a lot of time just watching people talk about their experiences in hazing, and I'm just like, okay, like this has to be humiliation rituals at this point. Like they just make them do the most ridiculous, humiliating, most disturbing things ever. And since the 1970s, hazing related deaths have been occurring annually at U.S. colleges, highlighting the persistent and dangerous nature of these traditions. So those of us who keep asking ourselves why, those of us who've never been a part of these groups, and we just keep asking ourselves why, like I don't understand, why would you risk your life or do all that for attention and acceptance? In order to understand the persistence of hazing, we need to look at the psychological factors and social dynamics. College students join fraternities and sororities even when hazing is a known risk for several psychological, social, and cultural reasons. One of them being a sense of belonging and brotherhood and sisterhood. So many students seek a tight-knit community where they can form lifelong friendships and connections. So a lot of these people, especially freshmen, just imagine a freshman person going to college wanting to seek this acceptance from others. Greek life provides a built-in support system, which can be especially appealing in a new and overwhelming college environment. Let's not forget about the status and prestige that comes with fraternities and sororities. A lot of young people who join these groups feel like being a part of these organizations can elevate their status on campus and provide them with networking opportunities and create a sense of exclusivity. And I feel like all that is good and all, but when it comes to like the initiation process of it, when you have to go through hazing and risk your life to be a part of it, that's when it becomes a problem. Like, it's all great that it provides networking and career benefits. That's good, right? Because even after a lot of these students graduate, they have this like community, they have this sense of togetherness. Many Greek organizations have powerful alumni networks that can open doors for job opportunities, internships, and mentorship. Also, the peer pressure and social influence has a lot to do with it. The desire to fit in and be accepted can push students to endure hazing rituals even when they know the risk. Many feel like they have no choice but to prove themselves to their new brothers or sisters. The rite of passage and resilience also plays a huge part of it, because some people Some of them believe enduring hazing makes them stronger or proves their dedication to the organization. Hazing is often framed as a bonding experience that builds resilience and commitment. So they feel like they need to go through this to feel like they're strong, or to show their peers that they're strong enough to go through this. I mentioned earlier that there's a lot of psychological factors, and I feel like one of the factors is the psychological manipulation and groupthink. Once students are in the process, they can become desensitized to the dangers of hazing, believing that everyone before them has done it, so yeah, it must be okay. This can create a toxic cycle where new members feel pressured to continue the tradition. And then there's that lack of awareness or downplaying the risk. Some students enter Greek life without fully understanding the dangers of hazing. Others assume that hazing won't be that bad, or they think that it only happens at certain schools. And then it's also like the pressure from older members and the fear of retaliation. And I feel like Caleb McRae, the person who turned himself in, he fits into this bucket, because as an older student who's already been through it, like he's seen as a role model, like in many cases students are afraid of being labeled as weak, kicked out, or retaliated against if they refuse to participate in hazing. The fear of disappointing their peers can push them to stay silent. And even though hazing can have deadly consequences, students still take the risk because of these deep-rooted psychological and social pressures. Many don't realize the severity of hazing until it's too late. So I want to talk about some of the high-profile hazing incidents that show the dangers of these traditions and their long-lasting consequences. So the first one being the death of Robert Champion. He attended Florida A&M University, and he was a drum major in the FAMU Marching 100 band. He died after a brutal hazing ritual known as Crossing Bus C, where he was beaten repeatedly as part of an initiation. And the thing about his death was that it was like it caught a lot of attention. It was like it went viral, and it brought a lot of attention to hazing within HBCU bands and led to major legal actions, including criminal charges against those involved. And then there's another case that I found very interesting. This one occurred in Bowling Green State University in 2021, and it involved a young man named Stone Foltz. Foltz was a sophomore at Bowling Green State University, and he was forced to drink an entire liter of whiskey during a Pi Kappa Alpha hazing event. This is insane, like a whole liter of whiskey. He was left alone in his apartment, unresponsive, and he later died from alcohol poisoning. His family pushed for tougher anti-hazing laws, resulting in Collins laws in Ohio. Like, imagine, this is crazy, like forcing someone to drink a liter of whiskey and then just leaving them alone in their apartment. Like, how do you not think that they're like, these people thought that he was going to make it alive? Like, I don't, like, this is insane. And then you have Daniel Santulli, and I wanted to include this one because this one, out of all the ones that I mentioned, he's still alive today. He's still alive today, but he ended up with permanent injuries. So he attended University of Missouri, and he was 18 years old at the time. So he pledged at the Phi Gamma Delta. He was given an extreme amount of alcohol that left him blind and unable to walk or talk. He suffered severe brain damage, and that requires round-the-clock care for the rest of his life. His family filed a lawsuit, and the fraternity was removed from the campus. The pattern of extreme alcohol consumption, physical beatings, and dangerous initiations continues to be an issue in fraternities, sororities, and other campus organizations. And even though many states have passed anti-hazing laws, enforcement is inconsistent, and students continue to participate out of fear, peer pressure, or a desire to belong. And I feel like universities often try to avoid bad publicity by covering up hazing cases or failing to take meaningful action until tragedy strikes. Like in this case, Southern University talked about how this happened off campus, trying to take the attention away from the campus itself. Hazing is just not a college tradition, it's a deadly culture that puts young lives at risk. And if students, universities, and lawmakers don't take stronger action, more preventable deaths will occur. And if you have a brother or sister or cousin or friends who want to join sororities or fraternities on campus, or who's like into these type of things and they're so passionate and they're young and they're just getting into college and they don't really know much about the hazing like environments and stuff, just be sure to educate them and just make sure that they're mindful of what these things can cause, because a lot of times these campuses tend to say that they're against hazing, but you will have these fraternities and sororities who have they're doing a lot of things behind the scenes. They're doing a lot of things like that's not under like public light, or they're not doing these activities publicly. So you will have these like secretive like initiation, these secret dangerous activities occur outside of campus, and they'll make these people like stand in lines just doing the most humiliating, dangerous activities. So people just need to know like these things can happen. Even though yes, it's illegal and the campus can say, oh, this is dangerous, we don't stand for it, it can still happen because they're doing it secretly. So people just need to be mindful. Don't be out here being brainwashed. Okay, these things are very dangerous. And I'm not saying that all fraternities or sororities participate in hazing, but just be mindful. It's not all of them. Be mindful. The tragic death of Caleb Wilson serves as a stark reminder of the lethal consequences of hazing. Despite increased awareness and preventive measures, these dangerous rituals persist, rooted in a complex web of tradition, psychology, and social dynamics. It is so important for educational institutions, fraternities, and society at large to confront and dismantle these hazardous practices to ensure the safety and well-being of all students. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell to be notified of my next deep dive. Feel free to drop your thoughts on what topics you guys would like to see me discuss or do an analysis on. And yeah, I will catch you guys next time.